Greetings, YouTube. I've said this once before on a video, but people ask me from time to time, Prof, how do you see your channel fitting into the MCOC community as a whole? And I make no bones about it. I view myself as the Joe Rogan of the MCOC community. Some people love him, some people hate him. He can be controversial. He can also love to tell stories. At the end of the day, I teach journalism. I've studied journalism since 2006. I love telling stories. I don't mind being wrong. I obviously prefer to be right, but I'm all about telling stories. And whether or not it's a crystal opening of my own or a crystal opening commentary, I love telling each individual story. And every crystal opening is its own story when you think about it. The highs, the lows, just like life. And so I have received an increase in stories recently behind the scenes that have never made it into a YouTube video because, quite frankly, I was still trying to figure out how to talk about it in a way that would make enough justification for your time, because I don't care if a video is 30 seconds. When you see a YouTube thumbnail and when you see the time code, you as a consumer of media still have to say to yourself, is that worth 30 seconds of my time? And I really feel like the phrase clickbait implies that it wasn't worth my time. I was promised something in the video that ended up feeling like I was cheated, and I can't have that time back. So I was baited into clicking on something that didn't end up being worth my time, right? That's at least how I look at it. So with all this being said, today, on this Memorial Day in America, Monday, May 25th, while doing a live stream this afternoon, received an email that I checked and read that was from the following. And this guy's name is John. I'll protect his first and last name, just in case, he doesn't want it out there. But John emails me and says, "Hi, Prof Hoff. I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel, all the content you create each day. For the community, it's refreshing to have somebody speak for all the members on a regular basis." Well, that's what I try to do. By the way, I can't verify with certainty if any of these stories that I get sent about complaints regarding kabam charges are 100% true. I can tell you what they're saying. I'm not telling you what to believe. You can believe it, you can not believe it, but I think there's some takeaways that even if this was all made up, you could still learn for your own account if you make purchases. If you're free to play, then I guess you could also learn how nice it is to never have to go through the nightmare of what John claims to be going through right now, this second. He says, "Let me preface this by saying I'm no way a whale in the MCOC world. I may purchase a higher grade package here and there and will partake in the July 4th and Black Friday deals that are released by Kabam. I'd say that's pretty much how I am as well. So we're, moderate spenders, especially now that the game has featured calves and the Black ISO store, etc. So it is very rare that I will drop a few $100s on unit packages. However, I was sucked in this past week when we had the opportunity to snag a 6-star Dr. Doom from the Doom Cavalier Crystals. So he originally wanted to purchase an Odin or two, which I say that phrase and it just makes me crazy because I think, don't just say that casually. An Odin or two is like $200. For so many people, like I didn't even know what a $20 bill looked like until I was 16. I grew up so freaking poor. The only time I saw something above a $20 bill was in the game Monopoly, and even that I knew looked too real for me to ever believe it was actually something I'd have in my hands. So I get that for like college students out there or struggling adults, people laid off, like $20 is a lot of money. So when I say I'll throw a couple Odins at it, like I don't want that to be literally so cavalier, pun intended. So he decided that he was going to throw an Odin or two until he got 6-star Dr. Doom, or until he just realized that he had been had by the Marvel Casino of Champions and he couldn't justify it. I don't know how much he was expecting to spend, but he, long story short, did not succeed in getting 6-star Dr. Doom. He did get multiple 6 stars and, of course, a bunch of 5 stars and some champions that I'm sure will help his roster. But when he finally tapped out and said, I can't justify this anymore, he had ended up purchasing 17 Odins, or $1,700 United States dollars, that is, before tax. And yes, this is also a tax lesson. He is not proud of this. And he understands that this is an example of the Casino of Champions turning into a gambling addiction in some cases. But that's not the purpose of this email. He is saddened to say that even though he didn't get the 6-star Doom and he got plenty of good champions, when he checked his credit card statement and even his iTunes statement, he was charged 3 Odins per Odin worth of purchase, allegedly. This is his claim. I have heard in the past 2 weeks, 3 individuals tell me that they were double charged. 2 out of 3 of these instances were on daily Cavalier specials. So you're talking about a difference between $5 and $10. Yes, that is $5 or $10 that you feel as though was stolen from you, and that is still relevant. But there's a big difference, even if you're dirt poor, between thinking you've spent $10 or $5 on something and spending an extra $3,400 before tax. He submitted his ticket to Kabam late on May 23rd, has not received a response. He's reached out to his bank to start a claim on refunds, but they're saying it's incredibly difficult because, of course, it's a mobile game to really prove. And so he asked me if I was aware of other members being triple charged. I've never heard of this. So if you're a skeptic, this may make you think to yourself, this proves that this guy's lying. Maybe he bought 50 Odins and still didn't get 6-star Doctor Doom and was so infuriated by this whole deal that he just really wants his money back because he feels like he is owed. I personally think if you spend $5,000 on featured calves for a 6-star, I don't care if the 6-star is the greatest thing in the history of the game. I don't care if it's pre-patch 12.0 Scarlet Witch somehow awakened Sig 200 when you open her. You should get the champion for $5,000. $5,000 can be, I don't know a single place on Earth, even New York or Chicago or LA, that you couldn't at least get a 1-bedroom apartment in a nice beach community for $5,000 in 1 month. You know, that's a month worth of rent in the nicest place. And of course, that's a lot of decently nice cars. And then of course, $5,000 in terms of what you can actually spend video game wise. You could buy every gaming system that's been sold in the last 20 years with plenty of games and controllers, etc. I mean, it's crazy. So he is submitting for record. And again, if you're skeptical about this story, if you think it's BS, you have every right to believe that. I'm telling you what he's saying. I'm not telling you what to believe. He's saying that in one of his charges for an Odin, he was charged 4 times. That's $438.96 with tax. All Father's Odin Vault, they charged him 4 Odins worth, even though he only got 3,100 units worth. And then every other screenshot he sent me from Apple services was 3 Odins worth of charges for the price of 1. So he thought he paid $99.99 plus tax. He was billed $299 whatever plus tax, $329.22. So he's claiming that an Odin worth of units, 3,100 units, cost him $329.22 with the tax added in. I get if you're skeptical on this story. I have heard so many crazy stories, some true, some not, in the past 3 years of doing MCFC on YouTube, but I've never heard of anything like this. Now, he said he purchased 17 Odins over days because he would purchase some Odins, he wouldn't get Dr. Doom, he would get annoyed, he would think he'd stopped, and then he'd feel that itch, that gambling bug, to go back and spend more. And so he gave up after 52,700 units to spend on Doom Cavalier crystals, and that is 175 Dr. Doom crystals in total. Of course, I'm thinking, if this really existed, I wish you would have submitted this to commentate, but he didn't open all 175 at once. I'm sure if he bought 1 Odin and got the 6-star Dr. Doom, which was the dream scenario, on the first purchase, he would not have made any of the other purchases. So this is a crazy story. Again, got to preface this. I have no way of verifying whether or not this is true or false. This guy is very passionate about this, and it would be pretty crazy if he was making all this up because he's made up quite the backstory to justify the purchase. What I do want you to know, because I've experienced this once on my own account, is that if you are in the right, and if you can prove to Kabam that they screwed up, Kabam is still going to ask you to give them everything short of your social security number to prove in screenshot form that you even made the purchases. Because now that they control the purchases of the game, they can ask for information, and it kind of reminds me of like being audited for your taxes. You have to produce every kind of document. In some cases, I've seen people ask, when was the first time that you made a purchase in the game? I've been playing the game for 5 years. How am I supposed to go back to my credit card statements of 2015? And yet that's a question that some people are asked. It's crazy, and yet this is the process that you're going to have to go through if you find that there is an error on your credit card statement. I hope for the sake of everybody watching this that this never happens to you. Even if it's just an accidental $5 overcharge, $5 is still $5. But in this case, this summoner is alleging not $5, but $3,400 plus tax. So we're looking at closer to $4,000 worth of overcharge. Now, he is prepared to go to other authorities if he does not hear back. And I don't even know if I entirely understand what that means. But regardless, this is the craziest story that I have seen yet. And when you're spending $329.22 for an Odin, allegedly, that is a huge problem. He swears it's true. He might be full of it. But this is a story that, now that I have had 4 people contact me in the last 2 weeks, 4 different summoners who don't know one another with similar stories. Before, it was just being charged twice, and this time, obviously, it's 3 times. It's becoming a pattern, and so my biggest takeaway for you watching this, if you're still watching this, for the 6% that listen to every second of my videos, which I get most people don't, make sure after you make a purchase that you go back to the credit card statement and you make sure that you were not overcharged, because it is happening more and more. It could just be a fluke pattern. Some of these people could be lying. I completely understand all of this. But once something is told to me 4 to 5 times, it's definitely worth at least telling the story in the video. Might be the case where I'm just crazy conspiracy Joe Rogan Prof Hoff today on this Memorial Day, but the story is out there. If you have heard anything else of people being double or triple charged, I'd love for you to comment that in the comments below. I just want there to let there be known on record that this is happening to some summoners so that everybody can protect themselves from fraudulent charges on either the Android or Apple side of their credit card. Thanks for watching YouTube. John, thank you for submitting this story. I want to believe you. It's the craziest story I've heard. I am a bit skeptical just because I'm shocked that someone could be not just double but triple charged. That seems fishy to me. But at the same time, I've been proven wrong before on previous stories, and I've also been really convinced that something was true and been proven wrong because it wasn't. So I've been burned enough times where I'm kind of skeptical, but at the same time, it's his story. I've told his truth, as the kids say. Thanks for watching.